All right, so we're going to review for Test 2 for Anatomy and Physiology. Test 2 is chapters 5 through 9. The largest organ in the human body is going to be your skin. The skin has three main layers: epidermis, dermis, subcutaneous, or hypodermis. The thickest layers of skin are going to be on your heel, and the thinnest skin on your whole body is going to be your eyelids. But you have thick skin in your palms of your hands and the soles of your feet, which means it has an extra layer called stratum lucidum. So there's that extra layer in the epidermis. And then you have extra layer stratum lucidum in your feet. And that's what creates that thicker skin in the palms of your hands and the soles of your feet. Your skin functions to synthesize vitamin D, sensory perception, regulation of temperature, emotional expression, blood reservoir, making an area which is your first line of defense against disease, and homeostasis, regulation and homeostasis, and temperature regulation. Your skin is said to be keratinized, stratified squamous epithelial tissue because it has a waterproofing layer of keratin. It's layered, which makes it stratified. It's squamous, which means it has squashed square layers, and it's epithelial tissue. The cells that make keratin are called keratinocytes. The ones that make melanin are called melanocytes. There are cells that are special in your skin for touch sensation, known as Merkel cells, and touch sensation is known as tactile. We talked about melanocytes, which make melanin, and concentrated clusters of melanin that can be triggered by sunlight are called freckles, and those can be genetically inherited. Your skin creates things with epidermal ridges that are called footprints and fingerprints, but those are actually caused by epidermal ridges. Your skin has areas that have hair and areas that do not. Your thick skin on the palms of your hands and the soles of your feet are hairless, non-hairy. Everywhere else is hairy. And there are different types of hairs. You have terminal hairs, which are dark and visible, and those are called terminal. You have downy hairs that cover a fetus called lanugo, and you also have barely visible hairs known as vellus. The layer of skin that's the deepest is known as adipose, has a lot of adipose tissue. It's known as subcutaneous or hypodermis. Your skin under normal circumstances does not have malignant melanoma, but when you get a malignant melanoma, which is cancerous, it's a cancer of the melanocytes. So malignant melanoma is a cancer of the melanocytes. Underneath your skin, you have bone, and bone is defined as highly vascularized connective tissue with a hard mineralized extracellular matrix. Your bone has, within your bone, you have compact and spongy bone. Spongy bone is going to be lighter and have more air spaces, and it's going to consist of trabeculae, finger-like projections. Your compact bone is going to have osteons. So compact bone has osteons and no trabeculae, and it's harder and more compact. Spongy bone is going to have trabeculae and no osteons, and it's going to be lighter and have more spaces. The most abundant type of cartilage, which protects and makes up all kinds of spaces within your body, is known as hyaline cartilage. It's the most abundant. Within your bone, you have medullary cavity, and long bones like your humerus, you have a medullary cavity, and it's going to be protected by a layer known as endosteum. Your bones are going to have the ability to grow, and osteoblasts are going to allow the bones to grow in thickness. At the end of your bones in the spongy bone, you have areas of growth known as the epiphyseal growth plate, and eventually those will become epiphyseal growth lines, and in everyday world, people just call those growth plates. Each bone has those groups of concentric lamella known as osteons. Your bone is responsible for carrying nutrients, carrying oxygen, carrying blood, and making red blood cells within the red bone marrow that's contained within your bones. Your osteons and your bone tissue have little canals that go in between that carry nutrients and minerals, etc. Those are called caniculi. Within bone canals, you have canals that run both vertically and horizontally. Horizontal canals are called Volkmann's canals, and vertical canals, like down the center of the bone in the osteon, is called Haversian or central canal. Sections of bone are comprised of an epiphyseal area at the end of the bones with that growth plate, and then you're going to have the metaphysis and the diaphysis. The metaphysis is going to be in between the ends of the bones in the middle, and the diaphysis will be the long area in the middle of the shaft of the bone. You have cartilage that surrounds the end of bones, and that cartilage has perichondrium surrounding it. So bone, cartilage, perichondrium around it. The process of forming new bone is called ossification. One of the main anabolic steroids in your body that help with growth is human growth hormone, also known as HGH. You have many vitamins that stimulate bone growth, including A, C, D, K, and B12. You have two types of skeletal systems, axial and appendicular. Axial consists of 80 bones, and appendicular has 126. Axial is going to be your head, your skull, your sternum, your ribs, your coccyx, your sacrum, and everything else is appendicular. The patella is a type of bone that's a sesamoid bone, and your carpals and tarsals are known as short bones. Within bones, you know by now that you have holes in bones, you have depressions in bones, and you have all kinds of different structures on bones, knots and such. And all of those are helpful for attachment points or as a gateway between one area to the next, like the openings, like the foramen, are a hole where that something can travel through there. So a slender projection on a bone, like on your vertebrae, is your process, like the spinous process. So a slender projection is a process. A sutural bone is specifically known as a Wormian bone. A shallow depression is known as a fossa. A tube-like canal is a meatus, like your ear hole, which is external auditory canal, external auditory meatus. The soft spots on a baby's head are properly termed fontanelles, little fountains. You have 7 cervical vertebrae, 12 thoracic, and 5 lumbar vertebrae, and your lumbar are for weight and support. Your C1 is your atlas, and your C2 is your axis, and your C2 has an odontoid process or dens. The largest bone of the pelvic girdle is the ilium. The wrist or carpals, there's 8. The ankle has 7 tarsals. A male has a larger angled pelvic area than a woman. That would be false. A woman has greater than a 90-degree angled pelvic area, and a male has less than 90 degrees. Ligaments join bone to bone, and tendons join bone to muscle. Bursae or bursa are fluid-filled sacs within your joints to help lessen friction. The elbow, of course, is a hinge joint. Your clavicle is S-shaped. If your bones don't ever get stressed, they get weaker. So unstressed bones do not get stronger, they get weaker. Sometimes people get runner's knee, which is also known as patellofemoral stress syndrome. Your pubic symphysis is going to soften up in women, and it's going to be associated with the hormone relaxin during childbirth, which is going to allow your hips to get even wider apart so that a baby can be born. The fibula and the tibia and their attachments to the ankle form a lateral and a medial malleolus. Bones have 3 sections, a head, a neck, and a shaft. And on some of those you will have an anatomical and a surgical neck that we've located in class. The clavicle attaches to the sternum and then to the acromion of the scapula. The attachment points for muscles include bones, bony projections, trochanters, epicondyles, and condyles. Pretty much all those knots and projections on your body are attachment points for muscles. The knee is the most complicated joint in your body. The longest, strongest, heaviest bone in your body is the femur. The thumb has 2 phalanges. The big toe has 2 phalanges. The femur and the humerus both attach with a ball and socket type of joint. If you can touch your thumb to all your fingers, that's known as opposition. And the rest of the review will be on part 2 of the video. Thanks.